Have you ever heard a single sentence so shocking that it instantly changed the way you saw your entire family? A sentence that made you question every memory, every holiday, every family photo hanging on the wall? Because 3 years ago, my mother said something during a family dinner that destroyed the life we thought we had, and the worst part, she had been hiding the truth for over 20 years. My name is Ethan, and what started as an ordinary Sunday dinner became the day our family fell apart. At the time, I was 28 years old. My younger sister Olivia was 24. Our parents had been married for nearly 30 years. From the outside, we looked like the definition of a stable family. No major scandals, no dramatic fights, no shocking secrets. At least, that's what we believed. My father was the kind of man who never missed a birthday. He coached my little league team, helped Olivia move into college, worked hard his entire life. My mother was the heart of the family. She organized every holiday gathering, remembered everyone's birthdays, made sure nobody ever felt left out. They weren't perfect, but they were solid, or so we thought. The first sign that something was wrong appeared after my grandmother passed away. My mother's behavior changed. At first it was subtle. She became quieter, distracted. She'd stare out the window for long periods of time. Sometimes she'd seem nervous for no reason. Whenever anyone asked if she was okay, she'd force a smile and say she was just tired, but it kept getting worse. Weeks turned into months. The tension became impossible to ignore. Then came the Sunday dinner that changed everything. It was supposed to be a normal family gathering, just my parents, Olivia, and me. We were halfway through dinner when my mother suddenly put down her fork. Her hands were trembling. I remember thinking she looked terrified. My father noticed too. "Are you okay?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked around the table, almost like she was preparing herself for something. Then she took a deep breath and said 6 words that froze everyone in place. "I can't keep this secret anymore." The room went silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. My father looked confused. Olivia looked nervous. And I could actually feel my heart beating faster. My mother started crying. Not quietly, not a few tears, the kind of crying that comes from carrying something heavy for years. Then she said it. "The man you call your father?" She stopped, took another shaky breath, and finished the sentence. "Isn't your biological father, Ethan." For a moment, I genuinely thought I had misheard her. The words didn't make sense. I looked at my dad, then at my mom, then back at my dad again. Nobody was speaking. My father looked completely frozen, like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. "What are you talking about?" I finally asked. My voice barely sounded like my own. My mother couldn't even look at me. She just kept crying. Then the truth started pouring out. 29 years earlier, before my parents got married, my mother had a brief relationship with another man. According to her, it ended before she met my father. Months later, she discovered she was pregnant. Terrified and ashamed, she never told anyone, not even the man who might have been my biological father. When she met my dad, she convinced herself the timing worked. She convinced herself the baby was his, or maybe she just wanted it to be true. Years passed, life moved on, and eventually the secret became buried beneath decades of family memories. At least until now. I looked at my father, the man who had raised me, the man who taught me how to ride a bike, the man who stayed up all night helping me build science fair projects, the man who never missed a single important moment in my life. His eyes were filled with tears, and I'll never forget what he said next. "Did you know?" The question wasn't directed at me, it was directed at my mother. The room felt smaller somehow. My mother's silence gave him the answer before she even spoke. "Yes," she whispered. My father's face changed instantly. Not anger, not rage. Something worse, pure heartbreak, because he wasn't discovering that I wasn't biologically his son. He was discovering that his wife had lied to him for nearly 3 decades. The betrayal wasn't about DNA, it was about trust. Everything exploded after that. Arguments, accusations, questions nobody could answer. Olivia was crying, I was completely numb, and my father just sat there staring at the table. The strongest man I'd ever known suddenly looked broken. Over the following weeks, our family fell apart. My father moved into a hotel. My mother called constantly trying to explain herself. Relatives got involved. Everyone had opinions. Nobody had solutions. Then came another shock. I decided to take a DNA test. Part of me hoped my mother was wrong. Part of me desperately wanted this entire nightmare to disappear. But 3 weeks later, the results arrived, and they confirmed everything. My father wasn't biologically related to me. I spent days staring at those results, trying to figure out how I was supposed to feel angry, confused, relieved. I didn't know. What I did know was that the man who raised me was still my dad. No test could change that. A month later, I visited him. He was living alone in a small apartment, older somehow, tired. The divorce process had already started. I expected him to be distant, maybe even resentful. Instead, he handed me a cup of coffee and asked how I was doing, just like he always had. Eventually, I asked the question neither of us had wanted to say out loud. "Do you still see me as your son?" The answer came immediately, without hesitation, without doubt. "Of course I do." I felt tears filling my eyes. He leaned forward and said something I'll never forget. "DNA makes someone a biological parent. Love makes someone a father." For the first time since the secret came out, I felt like I could breathe again. The next year wasn't easy. My parents divorced after 29 years of marriage. Relationships with relatives changed. Trust had to be rebuilt. Some wounds never fully healed. But life slowly moved forward. Eventually, I tracked down my biological father. The man didn't even know I existed. Meeting him answered some questions. But surprisingly, it didn't change much. He wasn't my dad. He was simply the man who helped create me. The title of father already belonged to someone else. Today, 3 years later, our family looks very different than it once did. Smaller, more complicated, less perfect, but also more honest. My mother still regrets keeping the secret. My father has rebuilt his life. Olivia and I remain close. And I've learned something important from all of this. Family isn't built by blood alone. It's built by sacrifice, by loyalty, by showing up every day even when nobody is watching. My mom's secret shattered our family. There's no denying that. But it also revealed something I never fully appreciated before. The man who raised me had every reason to walk away, every reason to let anger define him. Instead, he chose love. And in the end, that's what made him my father. Not biology, not genetics, love. If you've ever discovered a family secret that changed your life, share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the truth breaks things apart, but sometimes it also reveals what truly matters.